Hello everyone and welcome to another live from the workshop. So, a while back you may remember that I made a Hellbent Rassilon, or it was a sort of in between the End of Time and Hellbent Rassilon, and as much as I liked that, I was never 100% pleased with it. And recently I discovered something which I know many people had asked questions about generally, is what happened to Rassilon after the events of Hellbent, where he is exiled from Gallifrey. Well, it turns out, according to the comic Supremacy of the Cybermen, that he allied with the Cybermen and became a kind of new cyber leader. And the images that we've seen of him in the comic are very good, very interesting, and it is definitely one that jumps out as a custom, so it is one that I'm going to try and make. So obviously I've got my previous Rassilon figure, but I have already made some modifications on it. I have done these off camera because it is quite difficult to do on camera, but the first thing I've done is I've used a spare piece of, this is just a base Rassilon figure, and then I've used a spare piece of some Time Lord robes that I had, and then I've sculpted on this piece, which is the silver chest piece, or it will be silver. So the first thing that I'm going to do is actually paint up the robes and paint up these parts of the robes, and obviously I've got hands and things, and I've already sculpted up the pieces on the side of his head. I'm using the same head. So yes, that's going to be what I've got to do next. However, one other thing that I've done, which I may have to change, I'm not sure yet, is when I did my original Rassilon collar, I trimmed down, or I tried to trim down, the standard collar to try and make it flat, and it really didn't look that great at all, and so I had to add on bits, and now I'm left with this stripped down version again, which, as you can see, is very rough around the edges. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to repaint this and see if this works as a usable version on this, but what you might end up seeing is a little bit tacked on to the end of this video, or at least before I do the final figure review piece, where I'll be showing you some stills of a custom sculpted Time Lord collar. Now, I don't know if this is going to work or not, so I don't want to necessarily film it because it might not work, and that's going to waste editing time and camera time for me. So I'm going to make it off camera, but I'm going to try and take pictures of it if I do make it. I'm going to try and take pictures of it as I go through, so I can at least show you the process that went into it. But as I said, for now, I'm just going to try and repaint that one. But the first things first is to repaint the robes, repaint the arms, and also the main body. So let's get straight on to that. and here is my finished Cyber Leader Rassilon. So, in the end I decided to use the normal collar, partly because my attempts at sculpting a new one didn't work. It failed quite disastrously, but it's a little bit rough around the edges, but I think it still works well. But I have to say, overall, really pleased with how this has come out. And again, I know I say that every time, but because this is one of the more, again, intricate customs that I've done that really has come out so much better than I thought it was going to. So it got a few rough edges here and there, but overall, I am very pleased with it. So to start off with, obviously, we've got, right, I'm going to have to move the camera back slightly for this. Face, obviously I've got the sculpt bit on the sides and you can see the collar. As I said, once you see the collar close up, you can see that it is quite, rough around the edges here, but once it's sort of on display and you see it from a distance, it looks very good. I tried to get all of these bits of detail that I've done on the robe on camera, but it was just very difficult to capture on camera. Like I said, basically I did it in the same way that I did the bits on the headdress, as I just used a silver fine point Sharpie to put it on there, and obviously the symbols on his collars as well. Again, not perfect, but I contemplated printing them off and putting the proper ones on there, but you know, that would have added more time and something else that you wouldn't have seen on camera. And to be honest, I preferred to draw them by hand and put them on there, just because it was a bit more fun for me. Obviously, the chest piece, very pleased with how that sculpt has come out. I had to alter it a little bit, and the collars underneath, the Time Lord collar, obviously you can't see perfectly, but again, still very pleased with that. And then obviously I will move him back and put him here. All the detail on the robe. Now, all I've done for that, as I said, is that is just a fine point silver Sharpie, and I can't draw the Gallifreyan symbols because they're very intricate at that level. So literally all I've done is just a series of circles and dots and things like that. And the thing is, again, at a distance, it looks great. It works really well, and I'm really pleased with how that's all come together. And then obviously his staff is slightly different. Excuse me. Is slightly different in what we see on screen, but I've decided not to try and alter that too much. So I've actually used the staff that I actually had on my previous Hellbent Rassilon, and again just slightly altered it. So I've painted it up blue, and then I've added on the silver trim, and I've decided to keep the little white point star diamond on top because I just thought it looked quite good with that on the end of it. Obviously there's no detailing on the back of him. The one thing I have missed is on his elbow there, but it is just painted up very simple. But this is, again, it's a great custom if you're sort of an intermediate, I would have said, with sculpting, because you don't really need the sculpting to do this, and literally all this is it's a Rassilon figure. Mainly, the only two figures I've used in this are a Rassilon figure and a Time Lord figure, and obviously a Dr. Constantine head. But the thing is, if you're good at sculpting, like I said, if you've got a sort of very basic knowledge of sculpting, which I still consider myself only a very basic sculptor, if you've got a very basic knowledge of sculpting, this is something that is actually a really great custom to do, because not only is it something a bit different and it is something from the expanded media, but it really gives you the opportunity to do things that you might not necessarily do on other customs. I mean, for me, like I said, it's the main sculpting of the chest piece and all of the little intricate details and things like that. There's very few customs that I would do that on, and so I'm very pleased that I've got the opportunity to do it here, because it's not only helped me sort of further those skills for future, but it also means that I can use these skills on other customs in future, and it is also something that it may not be something I do on customs in future, so it's given me the opportunity to do it now. So yes, great custom. I slightly waffled on a bit there, but great custom. Very pleased with how it's come out. And so that is my Cyber Leader Rassilon. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, favorite, subscribe, share, it really helps me a lot, and be sure to check out the description below for a link to my Patreon. There is an exclusive webcomic and rewards for those who support it, so please donate to that. It will help me fund future videos. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.